All right, hello, boys and girls. Today is day 6 of Holy Week, and we're going to talk about Good Friday today. And today I'm going to read Bible verses, Mark chapter 15. So I'm going to start there. And it's a little bit longer, so just bear with me, okay? So it says, Jesus delivered to Pilate. And as soon as it was morning, the chief priests held a consultation with the elders and scribes and the whole council. And they bound Jesus and led him away and delivered him over to Pilate. And Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And he answered him, "You have said so." And the chief priests accused him of many things. And Pilate again asked him, "Have you no answer to make? See how many charges they bring against you?" But Jesus made no further answer, so that Pilate was amazed. Now at the feast, he used to release for them one prisoner for whom they asked. And among the rebels in prison who had committed murder in the insurrection, there was a man called Barabbas. And the crowd came up and began to ask Pilate to do as he usually did for them. And he answered them, saying, "Do you want me to release for you the king of the Jews?" For they perceived that it was out of envy that the chief priests had delivered him up. But the chief priests stirred up the crowd to have him release for them Barabbas instead. And Pilate again said to them, "Then what shall I do with the man you call king of the Jews?" And they cried out, "Crucify him!" And Pilate said to them, "Why? What evil has he done?" But they shouted all the more, "Crucify him!" So Pilate, wishing to satisfy the crowd, released for them Barabbas. And having scourged Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified. And the soldiers led him away inside the palace, that is, the governor's headquarters. And they called together the whole battalion. And they clothed him in purple cloak, and twisting together a crown of thorns, they put it on him. And they began to salute him, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they were striking his head with a reed and spitting on him and kneeling down in homage to him. And when they had mocked him, they stripped him of the purple cloak and put his own clothes on him, and they led him out to crucify him. And they compelled a passerby, Simon of Cyrene, who was coming in from the country, the father of Alexander and Rufus, to carry his cross. And they brought him to the place they call Golgotha, which means place of a skull. And they offered him wine mixed with myrrh, but he did not take it. And they crucified him and divided his garments among them, casting lots for them to decide what each should take. And it was the 3rd hour when they crucified him. And the inscription of the charge against him read, "The King of the Jews." And with him they crucified 2 robbers, one on his right and one on his left. And those who passed by derided him, wagging their heads and saying, "Abba, you who would destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself and come down from the cross." So also the chief priests with the scribes mocked him to one another, saying, "He saved others, he cannot save himself. Let the Christ, the King of Israel, come down now from the cross, that we may see and believe." Those who were crucified with him also reviled him. And that is the verse for today. So what you were supposed to do for this is to get out and make a cross out of the sticks and the yarn. Good Friday commemorates the death of Jesus on the cross. This is a very important day in Holy Week. The Roman guards find him in the Garden of Gethsemane Thursday night, and after that, Jesus endured hours of getting beaten, mocked, yelled at, and scorned. The same people who had been so excited to greet him with palm branches on Sunday now yelled, "Crucify him." A crown of thorns was put on his head, and he was nailed to a cross. 2 rough pieces of wood slapped together. You may want to talk more about the crucifixion, but just 2 things of wood were put together to make a cross. You can, to make it more memorable for you guys, you can take Play-Doh and you can make a crown of thorns and toothpicks. And this is to remember what Jesus went through. He was beaten, he was mocked, and people made fun of him. And it was just not a great time. But Jesus endured all of that because he knew what he needed to do was die on the cross for us. So today is a very important day, and it can be sad. It could be a little bit sad to hear what happened to Jesus, but we have to remember that there's something awesome that's going to happen out of it. So we will talk more about it in the next 2 days. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Bye.